maybe it was November or the December of 1970, I came over here. I was working for Phoenix House, and I got this call from a guy in the city by the name of Art Miller, and Art told me that if I wanted to, that there was this program opening up in Brooklyn, and maybe I could be part of that. And I said, well, maybe, Brooklyn would be good. And, I lived in Manhattan for a lot of that, so, coming back to Brooklyn sounded good. And working with kids sounded good, too. So I decided, yeah, I want to do it. Somewhere very early April of 1971 was the first day I walked in the door and started working with him.
I came in probably sometime in December of 70. Actually, at one time, we were only allowed on the first floor. The second and third floor was off limits because it was an abandoned discotheque that was vandalized.
It was in shambles. It was a mess. You really couldn't get up to the second floor. There was all kinds of broken toilet bowls and broken glass and no electricity up there.
There was holes in the walls from bottles being thrown. It was, the place is kind of trashed out, and it had been closed for a couple of years. So there was a lot of cleaning up to do and painting. And eventually the second floor was opened, and then the third floor was on a ban until finally, months later, we were able to get upstairs and evaluate what was going on, and, set up, what we were going to do and what the rooms were going to be used for. And at that time, it was just a lot of donations that started, coming in.
We sent the truck out every day, 10:30 on the dot. Everything had to be in beforehand, and picking up materials, trying to get donations, trying to do, all the different things that we would do.
We were mixing all different kind of paints, which was pretty wild. We would mix it like in a 30-gallon garbage can, and I think it was Billy's office at one time. I think it used to be called a lounge. And we started painting one wall was like a pastel color, and when we got around to the end of it, we ran out of paint. So that was like a yellow color, and then we started mixing like a green, and we did the same thing. We painted like another wall and a half and ran out. So we couldn't paint over the stuff that was just painted, so we mixed more colors, and eventually the room wound up being about 4 or 5 different colors, and we left it. So we were very needy at that time because we didn't have much at all.
There was about 9 or 10 of us members, and I knew Vinny from Phoenix House. Vinny was a graduate of Synanon, and Vinny would do some groups, but I started to really handle more of setting up the structure for the place. That was like more my job, setting up the morning meetings and setting up the seminars and all the things like that. It was very difficult because it was kids who, there was no structure to start. There was no structure here. So, when I would say, well, for morning meeting we're gonna sing, they would say, oh, we're not. I'd say, no, we are gonna sing. They said they didn't know any songs. So I said, okay, well, tomorrow we'll sing Old MacDonald Had a Farm. And they gave me a look and thought I was really crazy. And the next day I said, okay, Old MacDonald Had a Farm. And I got them to sing it a little bit. And then we would sing it every day for a couple of days, maybe 2 or 3 days. And then one of the kids said, listen, I got the words to a Beatles song, and we'll sing that instead. And then I said, great, and then we started to be able to, do a little bit of that. And one guy did the weather, one guy did this, one guy did that, so we would try to start setting up how that would work. And then they started to really get into the swing of it, honestly. I mean, they were pretty good. Once they realized that, this was something they were going to do, or this was something that, they really started to get into it. And, some of them were great. Some of them first members, they were really great. A few of them drifted off, but, I guess about 4 or 5 of those original 10 stayed stuck around, so that was pretty good. I think by July of '71, we really had a program.
I came here in 1972, November of 1972, and actually I thought it was pretty nice here. The members themselves decided that there should be rules and much more structure than there was, and it was based on a therapeutic community model. The members really made it happen.
Our first raffle, or maybe our first and second one, it was 25 cents a chance. And I don't know, maybe we sold $500 worth or something like that. Not a lot. I don't think it was 1,000. Maybe the second one we did like maybe 1,100 or 1,200. Now we had some parents coming and all the rest of that. But we went to the $1 raffle, $1 a raffle, and it was like, wow, like taking a big step doing that.
Every Tuesday and Thursday on the weekends, we sold raffles and whatever fundraising.
We might have sold like $10,000 that year, and then maybe $20,000 the next year, and another $25,000 to $30,000 the year after, and that's where we built our money to get upstate.
I came here and we had a stockholders meeting, and there were keys in an envelope, and it was very dramatic, and Vinny threw the keys on the table and said, we closed today and we got this property.
Everybody's been wondering what is happening with upstate. As of Saturday, we are now, in plain words, the owner of upstate.
We went upstate in May of '73. And when we first got that truck loaded up, the rental truck, Billy drove that, and we had the thing overloaded, and he was only doing maybe about 20 miles an hour down Coney Island Avenue. So it had to come back, we had to unload it, and then do, trip after trip. So it was an adventure, we were new guys on the block, so we didn't know what this whole big move was. But, I think we pulled it off all in all. It was just our effort and our, not giving up that got us upstate.
Is something that's been that was created in the minds of what we're all about, going back many years. I never forget. There's a piece of old tag somewhere in our archives, and I never forget how Billy. We sat there and he drew up and he says, this is going to be a campus, and we're going to have a gymnasium and this and that. And we were having a hard time getting heat. So when he was talking about all these things. That really came to pass, you really do believe that, things can happen. We've talked about having a residence forever.
If we only had a place in the city for kids who couldn't go home or didn't have the right family support,
and there's 1,000 kids that could have benefited from never going back home again, or going back to an abusive household, or going back to a neighborhood that just wasn't going to allow them to grow.
We had these families that would take kids in, and they were great, but not always available to everybody, and people with other needs that just weren't met because we didn't have a place in the city.
I believe the idea came when we had a meeting. I don't remember exactly what it was for, but it was in Billy's office, and Karen was there.
It was Karen who kind of said, Karen Carlini, who said, why don't we think about building the residence right on top of here?
I just looked at him like, why don't we just build up? And And like, we just looked at each other and decided, I think it was at that moment.
And whoever was in the meeting at that time says, well, why don't you do that idea? And, you know, the light bulb went off, and we looked at one another and said, you know, maybe we should pursue that.
This Deputy Commissioner, Kathy Coughlin, said, you want those 10 beds, they're yours. And now we thought of building up, and that looked good, and then we had to go through a variance. We had to get a variance to be able to put residential beds up there. But we were on our way.
And we have some kids upstate that they're just like, they want it so bad, and they keep going to Jen and saying, you know, what do we got to do to live up there? I really want to go there, and it would be so great, and could I be one of the first members? And, you know, there's a pride that they feel.
And so we're kind of like, you know, taking steps into another whole new thing, you know.
Having a residence to add, you know, to a diamond that's already been cut. You know, that's what we're putting on Coney Island Avenue. So I applaud it. I think it's a great thing, and you know, I wait for the next 20 years to see how that's going to turn out. You know, to the day when we all turn around and say that, oh yeah, we had a residence of Brooklyn. You know, but I think the new days of these new things to this effect it's always exciting.
You raise me